Welcome back to Live With, brought to you by Quest Nutrition. Visit questnutrition.com. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today's guest is IFBB Pro from New Zealand, Steve Orton. Welcome.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me on the show.
We tried to get you on before the Dubai show, but there was, I don't know, there was some communication problems. It's weird when you're traveling like a million miles away from your house, it's very hard to do interviews and coordinate things and get Wi-Fi working and all kinds of crazy stuff like that, huh?
Yeah, it is. And I was trying to tee up a time with Sid actually, and with the Dubai time and the US time, I managed to fall asleep when we were due to do it after the long trip to Dubai, which was close to about 18 hours.
I think it's just as far from New Zealand to Dubai as it is from New York to Dubai because we're about equidistant from there. Let's take a step back, because a lot of people don't know who you are. Obviously, you're from New Zealand. You really have never really competed in the United States at all. So you're kind of a person who people have heard of, but maybe don't really know a lot about. First of all, how did you get involved with the whole sport of bodybuilding? I always like to know where people came from in that essence.
Yeah, well, through my teenage years, I was into sort of rugby union over here, and I was training for that. And towards the my 18, 19, I sort of I didn't want to be doing it. I wanted to be in the gym, and because I was making I felt like my gains were being hindered through the sport that I was playing, and I always had a passion and always wanted to compete. And then I ran into the right people and sort of never really looked back, and competed in my first amateur show when I was 19, and have competed every year since. I don't think I could ever go back to anything else. This is what I do. This is what I love.
In New Zealand especially, I was going to say that part of the world, but in New Zealand especially, there's not a lot of bodybuilding opportunities, not as many shows. Obviously, you don't have as many people there. So there's other organizations I know that you guys compete in. But you decided this past year to step into that the New Zealand, I guess it's kind of like the New Zealand Nationals. They call it the Pro-Am over there, where you can get the only show really in New Zealand you can get your pro card at. You won the show. A week later, you're at the Arnold Australia Pro Show and you place top 6, which is that's like almost like a dream come true year for you. How did you first get invited to that New Zealand Pro-Am, and then explain to us how the whole process of getting to the Arnold happened?
Well, in 2015, I won the overall nationals, and that was in October, and then I decided to carry on through my prep through to March through to the Pro-Am, and that's run by our New Zealand president Mo Al-Masawi. The promoter of the Arnold Classic Australia, Tony Doherty, was a judge at the New Zealand Pro-Am at the start of this year, and obviously the winner of that show was awarded a pro card, and if Tony sort of felt like they were worthy enough, I knew there would be an invite to the show. So obviously we impressed Tony by winning my pro card. He was happy with the look that I brought, and he was more than happy to invite me over the ditch and compete the following weekend.
Which is a tremendous, to go from obscurity to stepping onto the Arnold stage is an amazing accomplishment in and of itself. Just so people don't understand, I think you guys in New Zealand kind of run things the way they do in Australia. Winning the nationals in your country is not the pro card qualifier. Then you have to go to another show, which is just like a pro card qualifier. So all the overall champions kind of compete against each other for pro cards. Am I accurate with that?
Yeah, kind of. It also gives the opportunity, since it's a pro-amateur show, it's an international show, so sometimes it gives the opportunity of international athletes, amateur athletes, to possibly travel to New Zealand to win their pro card as well, from what I understand. But yeah, there are no pro cards awarded by winning a national title in New Zealand anymore.
But it's like the pro, because I remember in Australia they have the pro qualifier. It's just like a special division where it's guys just going or girls just going for their pro card, and it could be 5, 10 people competing against each other, and whoever wins that gets a pro card essentially.
Yeah. So that's effectively at the Pro-Am here in March in New Zealand. So a lot of people aim for that, and yeah, do the best they can, really, because there is obviously the week after they always have the Arnold Classic Australia.
It's a relatively new show too. So, all right, so Tony Doherty comes up to you and says, "Hey, Steve, I want to invite you to the Arnold Australia, which is going to be taking place next week." Obviously, you accept that invitation. You're thrilled. You're in shape anyway. What the hell? I'm going to go over there. What were your expectations going into that lineup?
Yeah, I just wanted to do the best I could. I knew that I was worthy enough to step on the stage with the likes of those guys. But yeah, it was very overwhelming, that's for sure. I won my pro card, and then 6 days later, I was on the pro stage. Thankfully, it was close to home. It was just a 3-hour flight, and I've sort of got a. So the Aussies sort of took me in as one of their own, so to speak, since we're so close. So I felt like I was competing at home. I felt welcomed, and it was a very good opportunity to sort of, finally step on that pro stage for the first time. And I've been dreaming about it since I started bodybuilding. So yeah, it was very overwhelming, but great experience. And for me, I definitely, and I don't want to go to make up numbers. I want to make a statement, and that's what I always wanted to do in my first pro show. And I was lucky enough to sort of compete against some real top guys from the Arnold's Ohio the week prior, sort of not coming last, so to speak.
Way better than coming in last. You placed top 6, which is a tremendous accolade. A lot of people took notice of you. I remember Chris Aceto texting me, telling me, "Hey, you got to look out for this guy." Everyone thought you were from Australia, obviously, because people don't even know the difference. That they don't even know that Australia and New Zealand are different countries. But as you said, they kind of adopted you. You kind of pulled the Josh Lenardowitz in a sense, because Josh kind of came out of nowhere from obscurity and then made a big name for himself. You kind of made a name for yourself at that Arnold Australia. When you went back home after that, did you get a lot of people all of a sudden becoming like your best friend?
Yeah, a lot. I came home, and it was amazing. Lots of support. And I got into the gym for the first time, and I couldn't even work out. There was so many people coming up and talking to me. So yeah, it's definitely special to be at that level and be a pro and an active one as such. It's very hard to be competing all around the world and be active with it. Living in this part of the world. So especially when it comes to the cost of everything. But no, yeah, it was awesome. It was a good to come home, and a good reaction from friends, family, and followers. Likewise in Australia too. So yeah.
Obviously, you got a tremendous amount of size on your body, which obviously helped you, stand up and stack up well against the pro lineup there. Once you had to now leave, I guess, the comfort of home, even though Australia is not technically your home, and go to Dubai to compete this past fall, was that a big mind shock for you? Because now you're not in the comfort of your home. You're traveling 18 hours by flight. You're in a foreign hotel room. You don't really know anyone. The judges don't really know you that well because you haven't really competed a lot. Is that an intimidating environment for you?
Yeah, with the not being as well known internationally overseas, yes, I felt like that could possibly hinder any any placings or whatnot. But in terms of the travel, no, as an amateur, I competed quite regularly internationally. I competed in Italy. I've competed in, where was it? Oh, England as well. So I've travelled, to Europe a few times to compete as an amateur. So I wasn't too worried about that, and sort of had it down with the flying. But yeah, it was just trying to just build up a name for myself and let them know I was coming, really. So I got a good look in, So yeah, it was a good experience, and I think it was the first Dubai Sharu Classic ever done. So to be a part of that was cool, and I'd go back next year, that's for sure. Yeah.
And we were supposed to see you in San Marino the following week, but you backed out of that. I think it was financially it was a little too expensive to continue going. What seems to be the game plan for 2017 for you?
Yeah, so I definitely want to compete every year. I love it, and I think if you take a year off, people can tend to forget about you. So I mean, I'm going through a bit of a recharge phase at the moment. I pretty much have been prepping and competing for 2 years straight. So I'm just sort of just seeing out December and most likely looking at hitting a prep in the start of the new year if I do do the Arnold Classic Australia. If I decide not to do that, I'll push it out and sort of aim for shows more around August, September, possibly aiming for like the Arnolds in Asia, Hong Kong. But I'd like to come over to the States, that's for sure, and do some shows over there. I ran into a few visa complications when I was supposed to do the Ferrigno as well. So I could have, teed up 3 shows this year, but I only ended up doing one towards the end of the year, which was a bit unfortunate, but these things happen and we just move forward, really.
Yeah, they don't like, whenever I go to Australia, they don't like to let me in either, so don't feel so bad. Now, where did you get the nickname Ox from?
Yeah, it's a little story. I guess, I competed in Australia 3 years ago as an amateur, and I that's when I got to sort of really get to know the industry and the crowd, with the Australians, and that's when I met a good bunch of guys over there, and I've actually been working with one of them as my coach through the last couple of years. And, they took me in. I trained over there for a few weeks, and they just said, we're going to find you a nickname, Steve, you know what I mean? And they saw me in the gym training, and back then I used to train very, very heavy. I was very strong. And yeah, they pretty much, put, as strong as an ox in there, and it sort of rhymes with my last name, Orton, so Ox Orton, and it's just stuck ever since. Yeah, so it's quite cool, I get everyone just calling me Ox, and I just ran with it, really, and use it as my sort of business name as well, Team Ox over here in New Zealand for my comp prep and personal training stuff. So yeah, it's definitely recognisable with me now, and yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
we can call you Double O, Ox Orton. There we go. What's this rivalry with the Australians? You guys, the Aussies and the Kiwis. What do you guys like each other? You don't like each other? What's the relationship like there?
It's not too bad. Like I'm actually pretty close with Josh. We were over in Thailand.
In general, does the Aussies get along with the Kiwis?
When it comes to sporting sort of things, it can get a bit, tight, yeah. So there's a bit of rivalry there. But all in all, we do get along. I guess it's similar to the US and Canada, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bit of rivalry, but when we come together, like in terms of if you go travel over there and stuff like that, everyone's friendly, and I think it's just more a bit of banter at the end of the day, and just having a bit of fun and a few jokes. But all in all, it's okay, Yeah.
Now you live in the south part of New Zealand. A lot of people don't realize New Zealand's like a bunch of islands, and you live in the real south part, which gets a little cooler than what we're normally used to seeing, like in the I guess the upper part of New Zealand, correct?
Yeah. So South Island. Well, I'm in the South Island. New Zealand's split up into 2 main islands. The North and the South Islands. So yeah, and we're only a 3-hour flight away from Australia. So we do get sort of when we go overseas and stuff like that, our accents are pretty similar. But yeah, it's definitely colder in the South Island than it is in the North Islands. And I live in a place called Christchurch, but grew up in a small town south of Christchurch called Timaru. So it's as small as, close to 25,000 people. So, yeah, definitely in comparison to you guys in the States, where, I think the population of New Zealand in whole is 4 million.
Yeah. It's like, you're like where the Lord of the Rings was being filmed right out there, right? That's like no man's land almost.
That's the one. And that was all filmed in the South Island. So, generally speaking, anything you see from New Zealand, when it comes to the scenery and stuff like that, is all South Island based. Yeah, it's a beautiful country. Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you hopefully come to the United States and make the Ox be known in the U.S. and make a name for yourself out here. We just wanted to give you a little publicity, let people get a chance to know who you are. Anyone you want to thank out there, for helping you through all your prep and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Platinum Labs, who's my sponsor. Gym Clothing New Zealand, They distribute Gasp and Better Bodies apparel throughout New Zealand. Fit Food, my meal prep company. And then obviously, my coach throughout the last couple of years, and Chris Thomas from Alpha Ethos. He lives in Australia actually, so he's been awesome, and he's the one that helped me obviously reach the potential of winning my pro card. And then you just got to go back to your mentors, your advisors, your friends and family. So my girlfriend Caitlin's been a blessing. Really want to thank Mike Debenham, Mike Kingsnorth, and Mo Al-Musawi, president. Without him, bodybuilding probably wouldn't be the same here in New Zealand. So and just to thank all the followers and fans out there for supporting me, and really appreciate it, and it keeps me hungry and wanting to achieve more.
Well, good luck this year in 2017, and hopefully we'll be interviewing you a few more times, maybe in the winner's circle.
Oh, that'd be great, Dave. Thank you so much. All
right, that's going to take us to the end of another episode of Live With, brought to you by Quest Nutrition. Visit questnutrition.com. Check out their new Rocky Road bar. I love it. I'm Dave Palumbo. We'll see you next time.